We must recognize the reality of change and repetition in our lives. Aurelius continuously comes back to the idea that the universe is change. At the same time, while nature's job is constant alteration, he writes that there's nothing new here, everything is familiar. Change is constantly occurring all around us, whether we want to recognize it or not. At the same time, there are endlessly repeating patterns when you're able to obtain a bird's-eye view of the affairs of humans. He writes that we should look on all things earthly as though from some point far avoid, upon herds, armies and agriculture, marriages and divorces, births and deaths, the claim hour of law courts, deserted wastes, alien peoples of every kind, festivals, lamentations and markets. To Aurelius, change is a reality of life that we must accept. At the same time, we are watching the cycles of nature and history play out over and over again. Constant awareness that everything is born from change, the knowledge that there is nothing nature loves more than to alter what exists and make new things like it. All that exists is the seed of what will emerge from it. You think the only seeds are the ones that make plants or children go deeper. Acceptance is key. Another major theme in meditations is that of acceptance. We must accept the course of nature. We must accept the reality of death. Beyond that, we must accept the misdeeds of others rather than wishing they were other than they are. Objective judgment now at this very moment. Unselfish action now at this very moment. Willing acceptance now at this very moment of all external events. That's all you need. The role of destiny and fate. As opposed to the Epicureans who thought that the universe was basically random, the Stoics believed that nature and the universe were rational and ordered. Aurelius keeps coming back to the notion of destiny and fate being something we carry with us, and that carries us at the same time. What happens to each of us is ordered. It furthers our destiny. Living in accordance with nature. The founder of Stoicism, Zeno of Citium, is quoted as having said that the goal of life is living in accordance with nature. The Stoic concept of nature encompassed far more than our current notion of the term, as it included both the nature of the universe and the nature of human beings. Aurelius repeatedly discusses the concept of nature and the way that we as humans fit into it. To live a good life, one must do what's proper to your nature and accept what the world's nature has in store. Each of us needs what nature gives us, when nature gives it. Heaven and God. Modern Stoicism often leaves out discussion about the gods or God in the works of the ancient Stoics. It would be unfair, though, to discuss the key themes in meditations without mentioning the topic, considering that Aurelius states that they, the gods, do exist, they do care what happens to us, and everything a person needs to avoid real harm they have placed within him. Nothing earthly succeeds by ignoring heaven, nothing heavenly by ignoring the earth. The soul is moved and directed only by itself. In meditations, Aurelius is both analyzing himself and instructing himself. He writes almost as if he is his own parent, telling himself how best to be. He asks himself to interrogate himself and find out what kind of soul he has and what lives in his mind. An important theme in Stoic thought is that we have what we need inside ourselves if we only look for it. Aurelius reflects this concept repeatedly, saying that all you have to do is to be attentive to the power inside you and worship it sincerely. Things have no hold on the soul. They have no access to it and cannot move or direct it. It is moved and directed by itself alone. It takes the things before it and interprets them as it sees fit. Logos is the force that animates the universe. Logos is a complex philosophical concept that is found in ancient Greek philosophy, Christianity, Islam, Neoplatonism, Jung's analytical psychology, and other religions and schools of thought. It is often translated to mean something along the lines of reasoning or logic. To the Stoics, the active reason that pervades and animates the universe is the Logos. To follow the Logos in all things is to be relaxed and energetic, joyful and serious at once. We are all interconnected. The Stoics saw that everything in the universe is connected to each other in a sort of web. In Meditations, Aurelius states that everything is interwoven and the web is holy. The world is a living being, one nature, one soul. Keep that in mind, and how everything feeds into that single experience, moves with a single motion, and how everything helps produce everything else, spun and woven together. Everything that exists is a part of the whole. Not only are we all interconnected, but everything that exists is simply a part of a greater whole. It is particularly remarkable that Aurelius had this perspective and constantly reminded himself of it, considering that he was the most powerful man in the world at the time, the Emperor of Rome. Whatever the nature of the whole does, and whatever serves to maintain it, is good for every part of nature. The importance of working with others. It's easy to feel frustrated with others throughout the day. Maybe we even want to retreat to some kind of hermit-like solitude where no one will bother us ever again. Aurelius notes, though, that all of us are working on the same project and that we're all essentially in this together. We were born to work together like feet, hands and eyes, like the two rows of teeth, upper and lower. To obstruct each other is unnatural. How to have compassion for others. One major theme that Aurelius touches upon over and over is how to deal with other people. He doesn't have a rosy or overly optimistic view of others. It's clear that he's had to deal with a lot of individuals that he found to be deeply frustrating. However, he implores himself to remember that the people around him are human, and he is human too. That they make mistakes and that he has made mistakes. If you can understand that other people's misdeeds simply result from their own ignorance and that you'll both die before too long, it can help you zoom out and have more compassion for others. When you wake up in the morning, tell yourself, the people I deal with today will be meddling, ungrateful, arrogant, dishonest, jealous, and surly. They are like this because they can't tell good from evil. But I have seen the beauty of good and the ugliness of evil, and have recognized that the wrongdoer has a nature related to my own, not of the same blood or birth, but the same mind, and possessing a share of the divine. Everything that exists has a purpose. To Aurelius, it's clear that we all have a purpose here in life. It is a part of our place in nature, in the order of the universe. We're all here for a reason, not just humans, but everything, from horses to vine shoots. People who labor all their lives but have no purpose to direct every thought and impulse toward are wasting their time, even when hard at work. Living virtuously is the path to a good life. The Stoics believed that one could live a good life by acting virtuously. He is a spirit that is very concerned with what it means to be a good man and following through and being one. He states that the life of a good man looks like this: someone content with what nature assigns him and satisfied with being just and kind himself. The only thing that isn't worthless, to live this life out truthfully and rightly, and be patient with those who don't. The Importance of Character and Virtue Meditations is a great Stoic text to read if you're looking for a more poetic and personal discussion on virtue versus some of the other ancient Stoic works. Aurelius repeatedly talks about the fact that you are hurting yourself if you do harm. At the same time, nothing can harm you if it doesn't negatively impact your character. The elements move upward, downward in all directions. The motion of virtue is different, deeper. It moves at a steady pace on a road hard to discern and always forward. How to grow spiritually. Another focus in the book is spiritual growth. Aurelius talks about how we need to analyze everything that happens to us logically and accurately. Doing so makes it possible to grow spiritually. How they all change into one another. Acquire the ability to see that. Apply it constantly. Use it to train yourself. Nothing is as conducive to spiritual growth. We can train our minds. Aurelius tells himself to stop allowing your mind to be a slave and to continuously train his mind and thoughts. In Book 9, he discusses the need to get rid of most of the junk that clutters your mind and clear out space for yourself. He goes on to say that you can do this by zooming out and getting perspective about the infinite nature of time, the scale of the world, and the rate at which things change. The things you think about determine the quality of your mind. Your soul takes on the color of your thought. We can control our perception and judgment. One of the ideas that have really taken hold in modern Stoic thought is the concept that you can control how you think and perceive the world. From the Stoic perspective, our perceptions are what disturb us, not external things or events in themselves. It's all in how you perceive it. You're in control. You can dispense with misperception at will, like rounding the point, serenity, total calm, safe anchorage. We can choose our reactions and attitudes. Aurelius is frequently telling himself that he can consciously choose how he reacts to occurrences and the attitude he carries with him. If you don't interpret something as harmful to you, Marcus says, then it doesn't hurt you at all. I can control my thoughts as necessary. Then how can I be troubled? What is outside my mind means nothing to it. Absorb that lesson and your feet stand firm. You can return to life. Look at things as you did before, and life returns. The essential nature of human action and responsibility. Another repeating theme is that of responsibility and the essential nature of human actions. He states that if he fails to live as nature requires, it's solely his fault, even though he was helped by the gods through help, inspiration, and gifts. To stop talking about what the good man is like and just be one. Stop worrying about other people's opinions. It's amazing how much time you can recover when you stop worrying about other people's opinions. You can't control what other people think, and it's therefore a waste of time to focus so much of your energy in that direction. It never ceases to amaze me. We all love ourselves more than other people, but care more about their opinion than our own. The path to happiness and fulfillment. Marcus Aurelius truly believes in the Stoic notion that living a virtuous life is the path to a happy life. While we are interconnected with each other and a part of a larger whole, he states that our will rules its own domain. We therefore create our own happiness and fulfillment. If you do the job in a principled way, with diligence, energy, and patience, if you keep yourself free of distractions, and keep the spirit inside you undamaged, as if you might have to give it back at any moment, if you can embrace this without fear or expectation, can find fulfillment in what you're doing now as nature intended, and in superhuman truthfulness, every word, every utterance, then your life will be happy. No one can prevent that. Getting rid of anger, anxiety, and fear. Aurelius writes quite a bit about fear, anger, and anxiety. He discusses discarding anxiety during a particular day through the recognition that it came from within himself rather than outside. He talks about his only fear being doing something that is against human nature, and that there's usually always a better reaction to events than anger. The first step, don't be anxious. Nature controls it all, and before long, you'll be no one, nowhere. Obstacles are fuel to help you reach your goals. Another common theme in the book is that the obstacles we face become the fuel we use to achieve our goals. Ryan Holiday of the Daily Stoic wrote an entire book on the topic. The obstacle is the way, the timeless art of turning trials into triumph. The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. Simplicity. It doesn't take much for a good life. The Stoics were big believers in the fact that a person doesn't need much to live a satisfying life. Aurelius speaks of doing only what's essential, to do less, better. Take the shortest route, the one that nature planned, to speak and act in the healthiest way. Do that and be free of pain and stress, free of all calculation and pretension. History and the universe has its cycles. Marcus reflects often on figures that lived before him and the cyclical nature of history. Though the universe is changing, history is also a series of repeating patterns. Everything has always been the same and keeps recurring, and it makes no difference whether you see the same things recur in 100 years or 200, or in an infinite period. Focus your attention on the present moment. It's easy to get caught up in the past or the future. Marcus Aurelius reminds us that the present is all we have. When we die, the present moment is the only thing we lose. He says that each of us lives only now, this brief instant. Give yourself a gift, the present moment. Remember that you're going to die. Though I'm listing this as the last common theme in Meditations, death is one of the most prominently mentioned topics in the text. He is constantly reminding himself that human lives are brief and trivial, and that the great men of history died just like everyone else. It was important to him to accept death and not fear it. Rather than viewing death with impatience, indifference, or disdain, we should view it as one of the things that happens to us. He also talks quite a bit about the fact that if you are conscious of the fact that you will die, it will positively impact how you live your life. Though it might not seem pleasant to think about passing on from this world, the Stoics believed that meditating on our own death was an essential spiritual practice. Think of yourself as dead. You have lived your life. Now take what's left and live it properly.